Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Path of Exile, a free-to-play action RPG developed by Grinding Gear Games, and it's a very old, well, nearly 10-year-old title that's been growing strong ever since it was released. And why is that, you might be wondering? Well, apart from the fact that this game is a free-to-play title, so most people will give it a try, and if they like it, they'll stick to it. It's a amalgamation of everything good about action RPGs and a good mixture of, well, not crafting system, but skill levels from other RPGs such as Final Fantasy and Guild Wars. I will explain what I mean by that momentarily, but first things first, let's take a look at the options menu like we always do. So as you can see, this is a PC-oriented game, and I have to give props to Grinding Gear Games. They really went all out for this title. They allow you to adjust everything to your own personal preference. You can adjust the frame rate cap, you can adjust the VSync, rendering, resolution, detail qualities of anti-aliasing, lighting, shadow effects, depth of field, performance metrics. You can adjust them to your own personal preference with one single push of a button, or you can customize them to your own personal preference like this. You can also adjust the advanced settings by turning things on or off, and you can always get a description of what the specific option gives you when you change things up a bit. Granted, I did have some minor negative experiences when I was adjusting certain things in graphics, at least too many of them at once. That froze the game up and crashed it immediately. So I would recommend that you change 2 to 3 things, exit, save it, and continue on with your adjustments. It will avoid a lot of crashing for you. So, but that might just be my PC though. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Gameplay options allow you to adjust the networking mode, and list the item filter, as well as add your custom item filter if you know a good mod that will help you filter certain items that you wish to pick up or don't wish to pick up. So yeah, the game is very mod friendly when it comes to certain aspects such as item filters and build orders. There is a mod called Path of Building, which is basically a flowchart of everything you have to do to build up your character's skill tree. And I'll leave the link for it in the description when I post this. So keep an eye on that. But to see a tutorial, I'll give you that tutorial link as well. We'll just focus on the gameplay as it is. So yeah, the gameplay allows you to adjust certain gameplay types, such as targeting corpses in the game in the gameplay world, and you can adjust your item allocation in here as well. UI will allow you to change the language, rotate the map in the compass if you wish to. You can turn on the clock, reduce animations, confine mouse to window, auto set your map to your character, visual sensitivity, and also adjust the item presentation in your inventory, such as item sockets for gems for your items, remove and hide some tabs, show your mana and life levels, as well as your opponent's health and their abilities. If you click them, you can adjust your cursor, its size, if you want to see it hover a bit more, you can adjust it here, and also adjust your chat options, as well as the chat box size and visibility. Sound options are pretty decent. Every volume has its own separate slider, and while I do think that the music and the sound effects, as well as voice acting, is top-notch, I did lower it to a minimum because it's fairly loud. So you might want to keep it below 50%, somewhere around 40-30%. If you're playing solo. If you're playing with friends, I recommend you go to this level so you can still hear the music in the corner of your ear, but if you're talking to other people, the sound effects and the music can be very disruptive. You can barely hear your teammates if you're playing this multiplayer. I mean, to be fair, this game is always online, so that's something of a minus in my book, because I prefer to play action RPG solo first and then hop into the multiplayer to play with friends. But this game kind of forces you to play online all the time. So if your connection breaks, you will have a bad time. And I honestly, that's one of the reasons why I didn't play the game so much. It's basically because my network was terrible. Let's see. Input details allows you to readjust your I would say quicks, shortcuts. Allows you to adjust your shortcuts for certain actions and abilities. But I would recommend that you keep them on 1 to 7. And for the ease of access, just keep it as keep the default controls up. Otherwise you can just play with a controller, but that's still in beta, so I would recommend that you play this with a mouse and keyboard. And notifications, they just pop up depending on what you turn on or off, and alert you to certain events, such as friend requests, which friends are online, if you get a party invite, if you get a guild invite, and guild notifications, stuff like that. Sorry. Sorry guys, I am dealing with a bit of a cold and a sour throat, so talking is not as easy as it is. Granted, it's better than last week. I get the full force of it, so I was practically mute at that point. So that's why I didn't do any videos last week. But anyway, as I was saying, this game is a free-to-play, always online action RPG, which is honestly annoying in my book, because if you have a terrible network connection, you will be kicked out of the game fairly frequently. And I kind of wish that sequel, when Grinding Gears releases Path of Exile 2, will address this problem by giving us offline modes just to practice or finish the campaign quickly. Just to finish the campaign so that we can play with our friends online at our leisure, not just because. Okay, I'll try to figure out a better way to explain that as we go along. But the Path of Exile is a very unique action RPG, as you can probably see. Let's see. Yes, I have 3 separate classes, and this is the interesting part about the game. And every old school RPG, you usually had a choice between several different classes, but you could never customize your character's appearance. This game follows that trope. This game really follows that trope religiously. You're not allowed to choose a specific. You cannot create a custom class. You have to choose between Templar, Assassin, Barbarian. Well, to be fair, the blonde here is a blank slate of abilities, so she can be adjusted to any playstyle. But you have to play through the first act completely with one of the 6 classes which are currently obscured to unlock her. So when you first play through, you'll have a choice between 6 classes, and the 7th blank class will be unlocked once you finish the first half of the game. So yeah, depending on your preferred playstyle, you will choose one of the pre-existing classes and then build your way towards the end game. Now, I'm not gonna start a new game because that's gonna take a lot of time and effort, and I really don't want to sink too much time into the game right now because I have certain real life responsibilities that I have to take care of. But I'll give you a quick explanation as to what the different leagues to explain the different leagues here. As you can see, you have the Standard League, which is a vanilla experience with no modifications to the gameplay, which is a good starting experience if you're new to the game. It has two separate difficulties: standard difficulty, which allows you to respawn and keep your gear up once you lose. You have the hardcore difficulty, which is permadeath. Once you get killed, you lose everything. Your character is deleted, and everything you gathered as the character will be deleted as well. You also have solo self-found mode, which is the closest thing you have to a solo gameplay, but it's still online. And basically, you will not be able to interact with other players in the game. And the items you get from opponents will be of lesser quality, so you'll have to craft a lot in order to get better equipment. This is a good idea if you're I would recommend that you play this first if you're a newcomer. It's the closest experience you have to a single-player option, but you will still have to play with your network enabled, unfortunately. So if you lose connection, this will annoy you to a very big degree. So yeah, this is the Standard League, which is accessible to everyone. You have the Challenge League, which is a 2 or 3 month long new game plus. Let's put it like that. It's a vanilla game with some additional modifiers and gameplay elements. You have additional monsters. You have some specific rules to you have to follow in order to get better gear and better effects in this particular season. So it's just to clarify, every league has the same story, same gameplay as the vanilla. Well, it follows the basic rules of action RPGs, but every league has its additional challenges. The Challenge League is a seasonal one, which will have additional modifiers and unique weapons and enemies and challenges you have to overcome. While the Hardcore League is basically a death wish. It's hardcore times 10. But once you die, you have your character is deleted, and the amount of monsters and equipment you get is proportionally... Well, the monsters are difficult, and the gear you get out of it is better for it, so... It's not for the faint of heart, to put it mildly. So yeah, I'm just gonna... It's great. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue off with my strongest build right now, which is the Necromancer. As you can see, she was my main character in the previous Challenge League, but unfortunately the league has ended, so now she has been reverted to the Standard League. Which, in all honesty, isn't so bad. I did quite well with her. I'm not gonna lie. It was my first foray into the game for serious. So to get to the final chapter of the game within the Challenge League for my first playthrough, it's a pretty decent achievement on my part. But let's focus on the gameplay first and foremost when we get there. So as you can see, the game has a very nice artwork, all things considered. Every loading screen has I won't say Diablo-esque, but the artwork really goes for the grim-dark version of action RPGs. It's a good mixture of dark tones and grand, not over the top, but grand scenes of the outside and inside of the game world. And yeah, you will stare at them for quite a while because the loading times can be long depending on your network connection. So as you can see, this is our hub city at the moment. We are one of the many amongst the many other players here that will come in to trade, discuss things with other players, and just show off their purchase skins and pets. While the game is free to play, you'll see that the Grinding Gear did monetize the skins mostly, and you can also purchase a possibility to purchase the private league server, which allows you to customize your own private league with friends and guildmates, depending on who you play with. I'm playing with some of my friends who are, those guys are very experienced players in my book, so they did purchase extra inventory space for our guild as well as for their characters, but don't think this is a pay-to-win game. It's free to play. The core mechanics of the gameplay and the end game are not hidden behind a paywall. Everything that involves gameplay will be available to every player. The only thing you pay for are cosmetics. So, without further ado, let's just hop into the gameplay world and show you what this game is all about. So, as you can see, this game takes a lot of influence from Diablo and other action RPGs. So you will have a lot of quests to unlock as you progress through the world, and you can track them on the world map whenever you like. This will show you where to go. Well, it will show you the general area you have to go. It will not pinpoint it directly on the map, on the overworld map. You will have to locate the teleporters and then go search for the entrances to these areas, which is a lot of fun. In all honesty, it's an action RPG experience at its finest. You run around, you stab, incinerate, pierce, and bludgeon everything in your path without too much care in the world. And you also have a minimap which will show you points of interest if you come across certain NPCs or areas in the world. And this is a problem I have with the game, which is depending on your network connection, the gameplay will stagger quite a lot, which can be really annoying if you're on the high end side of things when it comes to the level. Well, not just the level, but throughout the gameplay itself. If you're close to the end game, you really want to pay attention to where your enemies are and when and how to deal with them. And if your game starts lagging, you get killed quite often, and that's really annoying for everyone. So a good network connection is a must if you want to play this game properly. So, as you can see, these are the basic core mechanics of the gameplay, where you fight your opponents with special abilities and weapons of choice. Since I'm playing a mage character, with a mage character, I need to keep my distance and pick my targets carefully. And send my summonable minions to deal with the problem, while I keep the opponents at bay. Let's do it for a second. But don't think this is the only thing that you have to worry about in the gameplay. You also have to worry about managing your inventory, which is limited, and you also have to worry about your skill gems that you pick up and put into your equipment. As you can see, every item you have has skill gem sockets, which will dictate which abilities you can use and fight with. So, for example, this one is mostly oriented towards long distance fighting. So I choose my main type of attack, which is Essence Drain here, which is this shotgun-like attack. I mean, by default it's a single projectile attack, but with a proper skill gem, this will become a shotgun that does a lot of damage, while the other wand will use its own effects and then depending on the skill gems I put in, will allow me to use summon or use a different set of abilities as well. And this is the intimidating part of the gameplay. You really have to pay attention to which skill gems you're picking up and using. If you're using blue skill gems which are oriented towards magic, you will have to consider your distance carefully and try to stay away from direct combat if you're a mage character. If you're using blue skill gems on a melee weapon, you're gonna get a couple of weird looks, not gonna lie, from other players, but it can be a very fun build if you know what you're doing. Not gonna lie, any build is a viable build. You just have to experiment with skill gems and see where it leads you. Also, as you can see, I'm collecting specific items, not everything I see. Some items will allow me to upgrade my character or just help me unlock additional missions, and those are. I need to turn the game off. And those are, those are expansions. Well, expansions are free for everyone, but you can tackle them at your own leisure. They're not mandatory to finish the story. So for example, I purchased these rogue markers, which are coins that I can trade in with specific NPCs to get better loot or get specific, very challenging side quests that will reward me with better equipment and weaponry. But I can play the game without going for those quests. Basically, I can just play this game without ever touching those side quests. I mean, I can tackle them whenever I wish to. It's not mandatory to finish the story. Speaking of story, this is one thing I actually don't like about Path of Exile. The gameplay loop itself is fun, but the problem arises when you're just exploring around the area. The maps tend to be procedurally generated every time you leave the area and return to it. So if you find a dungeon and go in to explore it, you will return to a different type of a map, which is rather annoying if you already spent most of your playthrough exploring and killing everything in sight, so you could just run around and try to so that you could do side quests. I mean, it provides a decent incentive to go and fight some more, but it will annoy you more. It's more annoying than convenient, not gonna lie. It just makes things more difficult, and whoa, God, no, not what I want to press. And depending on how how pressed for time you are, you're going to have either a good time or you're going to be annoyed. So as you can see, I'm currently no, that's the shop. This is the minimap. This is the map of the area. As you can see, I am currently looking for the entrance for a specific area, and I found one door that leads me to a dungeon somewhere over here. But I think I explored that area already, so I have to locate the doors again, which is rather annoying because in my last playthrough I did locate the doors that led me to the area, but my network connection broke down and I got kicked out of the server, and that reset my whole progress because I returned to the hub world and I had to re-explore the whole area again, which really really discourages me from. Oh, no, that's not the crap I want. No, I don't want this. I don't want this. Minions just fight while I'm looking around. Oh. Oh boy. Okay, that's actually a good place to throw my massive clear out army. So as you can see, I pretty much focused on summoning spells. So I have a lot of. Oh, alright, I forgot. I have the Grim Reaper on my side. So as you can see, I can summon a small army of zombies, and I can also summon a big army of skeletons to fight for my cause. I can also. No, that's. I wasn't even. For some reason, the game will ignore your mouse input sometimes and send you somewhere where you didn't want to go. Okay, that's on me. I didn't pay attention where I was clicking. But yes, as you can see, this game is very focused on combat more than anything else. So once you level up, you will. Actually, give me a second. Maybe I can. Give me a second just to find. There we go. That's the character screen. Skill tree. Yes, as you can see, as you level up, you will unlock the skill tree, which is quite large and intimidating when you're on your first playthrough. So the Path of Building mod that I mentioned already, and whose link I will leave to you in the description, will help you a lot when you're building a specific character. So yeah, don't think this is all. Don't think this game is all about gems. It's also about. It's very focused on your passive builds as well. So try to think carefully where you send and which abilities you want to use. I mean, you can always respec your character with enough respec. Redo points if you manage to get books that allow you to get those points, as well as certain items that will allow you to redo your build completely. But also think carefully about. Okay, let's see. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm just trying to remember where I'm going. This is the problem I have with. This is the problem with the game. It's very disorienting sometimes if you're. Yeah, I went back where I didn't want to go. The game will. Once the map resets itself, you are more or less forced to redo it, re-explore everything because the game likes to randomly generate its maps. They still have some logic to them. The entrances to specific areas will be on the specific side of the map, but you don't know which side of the you can never be too sure which area of the map is where, and the quest tracking can leave you be confused sometimes. As you can see, I'm trying to locate the Queen's Adziri. No, I'm trying to. Ossuary. I'm trying to locate the ossuary, but the game is kind of cryptic about. I mean, it shows me on the world map where the item should be, but nope, that's not where I wanted to go. My mouse was here. Why did? Never mind. The more I rage about this, the more angrier I'll get. So as you can see. sometimes the game will not respond well to your inputs, so you will find yourself in a tough spot if you have a teleportation ability. But the overall gameplay in itself is a very fun experience. You're always in combat. You're never gonna get bored if you're just fighting everything and just run around and kill everything. It's a good game to relax a bit. My problem with the game is as I mentioned, the regeneration of maps every time you teleport. It will recreate the map for you, so you will feel disoriented when you try to get somewhere. Once you finish one subquest, it will reset the map and you will have to locate the area again, which is very annoying. But besides that, you will feel intimidated because if you're a first-time player, when it comes to character building, you have to consider your gems, your passive skill tree, your positioning. You really have to think carefully on your feet when it comes to the game, and you have to also pay attention to leveling up. You don't just level up your character; you level up the gems you use. Well, every gem you have on your person will be leveled up as the game progresses, and that's pretty good because you can carry a specific skill you've been relying on for quite a while with you forever until you find a better ability, or you could just play the game with one specific ability and focus your build around that throughout the whole gameplay experience. Granted, I'm not a big fan of these ideas because the point of action RPGs is usually experimentation and upgrading your character with better abilities. And Path of Exile kind of focuses on giving you the possibilities, but by the end of it, you just focus on one specific build, and that's not always the most fun of all the options. I mean, I've been going with the Necromancer build from the start, and yeah, it's a fun build and everything, but I think I've been here. No, let's see. The problem with that is I focus on this build, and once you start doing a build, you have to commit to it. Yeah, I've been here. And yeah, you can't just you can respect your. You can find different gems and purchase them from vendors and everything, but by the end of the story, you're just gonna. You're now experimenting late game is kind of a problem. It's fun early game when you don't know what you're doing and you can try to see what works for you. But once you decide once you choose a specific build, you'll have to stick to it. And as the game has a tendency, as you can see, the game's tendency to give you anything but useful items. Anything but useful items for your character, you will kind of feel cheated out of the game. Not gonna lie, it's a frustrating experience. In all its greatness and all its frustration, there's some weird satisfaction in killing massive armies with your weapon of choice, but not getting anything useful out of it leads to a lot of frustration. I mean, I more or less let's just to demonstrate the ones I'm currently using. I had them since let's see. I think I got these two once in Act 5. And I've been carrying them with me up to this point. And that's something most action RPGs try to avoid. They try to give you better gear every 5 to 10 minutes or sooner. And this game kind of forces you to use the same gear and equipment. Well, equipment and gear are the same thing. Same gear and abilities for a longer period of time. This can be very annoying if you're looking for a specific item for a specific build. But I will give the game credit where credit's due. They do have a nice variety of enemies, so it's never too boring if you're just in it to fight with someone. You'll always find a different variation of enemies that, well, they will not challenge your skills at this point, but you will feel like a very badass necromancer, fighter, Templar, or whichever class you choose. You will feel good about yourself when you manage to kill a big wave of enemies, like I did. So let's see, and the game is not too difficult, not gonna lie. It has its level of frustrations, but for better or worse, you can actually find fresh corpses for your abilities if your abilities require the corpses, and you can always upgrade your equipment to a ludicrous degree, so you can carry your old equipment with you and keep it viable throughout the whole ordeal. As you can see, I am currently just using my wands as a last resort and mostly use the abilities attached to them to summon ghosts, zombies, skeletons, and practically anything dead to fight for me. But yeah, if you're looking for a game that will give you a collectathon, this is not for you. It's a fun action RPG for all intents and purposes, but if you're looking for a game that will give you a lot of collecting, just look for Torchlight or Diablo, maybe. At the moment I can't remember, but yeah, this is a very hardcore action RPG, all things considered. The gameplay loop is fun at its base, but some elements will lead to frustration more than satisfaction. Thankfully, as I mentioned, this game is free to play, so you can just uninstall the game and play something else if you wish. But if you want to play something with friends, and if you're craving for if you're looking for a RPG that you can play with friends, this is a pretty decent experience, all things considered. Granted, you might want to play with people that are of your skill level, because if you're a beginner player and your friends are, well, veterans at this point, you will drag them down most of the time, and you will be left behind mostly. I mean, I'm not saying that my friends are. Well, I kind of had to play solo for this playthrough a lot. My friends, the guys I was playing with, they already finished the game, and well, not record time, but they did manage to finish the game fairly quickly. And how do I get there? For God's sake, I cannot remember what direction I took. So yeah, you have a minimap and you also have the big map of the area, so you will be staring at this for quite a while. Good news is the friendly NPCs are usually highlighted by the exclamation mark, so you know who to avoid if you're looking for side quests. And this is a little problem I have with the game. Side quests are... there is quite a decent... There's a good amount of them, but I never know what they're about, because I had to skip throughout a lot of the dialogue in order to keep up to other people. And that's a problem with the game. the lore, you cannot follow the lore because people want to incur. Oh, for God's sake, where is that place? Because people want to just continue playing, so they encourage new players to avoid the lore and just watch lore videos on YouTube. But that's kind of counterproductive in my book. Developers and scriptwriters went through a lot of trouble in order to create a fun experience for everyone, and most of us just ignore them. Most people just ignore the lore and watch it on YouTube. That's kind of insulting to the scriptwriting community. I have to admit that's, as you can see, I just skipped through the guy's conversation, even though voice actor was brought in and paid to read the script, as well as the scriptwriter was paid to write the story and everything, and we just ignore it. So yeah, that's something I really hate about the game. This is something I really hate about the game. Honestly, there's no encouragement to just stand still for a second in order to see what the lore of the world is. I just have to roll with it. And yeah, I'm trying to find that side quest so that I can level myself a bit better, but nope, I will have to move on eventually. But yeah, this is the core gameplay. As you can see, you run around, you kill people and monsters and everything in between, and by the end of it, you end up stronger for it. Oh, and depending on the build you take, you will either regret exploration because the items you get are pretty lackluster. And seriously, most of these are common items, and they're not even good for my build. So, let's see. I'm pretty sure this belt. Well, okay, this is a rare belt, but I'm pretty sure I got this belt somewhere in Act 4. So, as you can guess, the game needs to rebalance its drop rate for specific items. And thankfully, I'm alone at home, so there is nobody is killing the bandwidth, so I can play this game a little easier. But yeah, if your network's terrible, you're gonna have a very frustrating experience, and that's unfortunate. So yeah, I'm just gonna progress to the next area so that I can unlock it, since I already got there. Might as well. Well, maybe that gate will lead me to the area I was looking for. But yes, depending on your teleportation or your movement or your exploration, you will. Damn it! You will unlock different areas and reset the map from the previous areas, which is rather annoying, especially when you just want to find a specific item or a specific area. So yeah, I am glad the game is difficult and everything, but I kind of wish the gameplay was a bit more oriented towards single players and people who have bad networks. The game is good and it's fun, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm touching it. No, that's not the items I want. No, get those comments away from me. As I was saying, this is pretty much the whole thing about this is the whole gameplay loop. You run around, you kill, repeat the process as many times as you want. On occasion, you will encounter traps and some environmental environment damage areas. Okay, that sounds stupid, but you will encounter traps and certain items and certain areas that deal damage over time, so you might want to tread carefully when you're there. And the most important thing you might want to collect are these small tokens and skill gems that you can trade in for different pieces of equipment or magical scrolls that allow you to identify equipment or teleports back to the hub world. So, let's see. I don't have anything identifiable, but the most important things you'll probably collect are these augmentation orbs, tarot cards, and skill gems. Those are the most important things you will have to collect throughout the whole gameplay. And yeah, the items you collect throughout the whole experience they're not gonna deteriorate. They're, depending on your augmentation and everything, they will either be helpful or they will be next to useless. So as you can see, depending on that happened. Depending on where you are and depending on the difficulty you're playing with, if you die, you'll be given the possibility of resurrection at either the hub world or at the starting point of the map, unless you find out a teleporter. And yeah, you just run back to the place where you got killed, locate the enemy that killed you, and enact revenge on him. And that's the whole gameplay loop. No matter which side quest you're in, you will deal with enemies with different set of abilities. For example, this guy that killed us had Thorn Aura, which was causing damage to us over time, as you can see. Oh no, that's his friend. Maybe his teammate though. But yeah. Every enemy has its own unique resistances, abilities, and buffs it gives to its allies. And the bigger the glow of the enemy, the tougher the opponent. So as you can see, these golden enemies will provide a lot of damage to as well as buffs to their teammates. And that's pretty much it. That's how the gameplay works most of the time. You're running around, killing things, going to hub world to just return specific items you collected. And yeah, if this type of gameplay is for you, you will enjoy yourself immensely. But don't expect a big plot twist like Knights of the Old Republic or any grand cinematics like in Diablo. You're just gonna run around, maybe skip a voiceover or two, and then go into the world and locate items to improve your combat efficiency, or just go around and kill everything in sight. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that's. I mean, I really want to play this game right now and finish it, but I kind of have things to do. Oh god, I want to find somewhere I can save. So yes, that's the whole gameplay loop. You run around, look for opponents, and then kill them with extreme prejudice. And depending on how well you're equipped, you will either get one shot or overrun by enemies fairly quickly. So yeah, that's about it for me. What is this? Actually, we still have one thing to do, and that's a small thing, but there is the shopping mechanic of the game, which is quite different from most action RPG shopping. Fitting mechanics. Let me demonstrate. Just a second to find someone. Noseboard. This you can pick up. Yeah, you can pick up public notifications from other people. No, not you. Or whereas, yeah, Lani. I think she is. Yeah. As you can see, this game kind of works differently when it comes to trading items. Instead of getting gold, you get different pieces of equipment. So if you want to purchase a magical wand for a specific ability, you will have to trade in some of your inventories. For example, this wand will cost me one of these orbs. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend that you purchase anything from vendors because you usually get better equipment by just going around and exploring. And ironically, the moment you purchase something, you will kill someone with several levels better equipment than the one you just purchased. So your purchase will be more or less nullified in an instant. So yeah, this is Path of Exile, a fun experience for any action RPG fan, but it's a tough one. Not gonna lie, it's the level of leveling up is quite intimidating, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna have a bad time, especially if you create a bad build and you have to stick with it. Unfortunately, I mean, at that point you can either delete the character and just restart the whole thing. But if you're playing the seasonal league, you will be pressed for time. These are limited time only. The leagues and modifiers and equipment you get out of them can be purchased from or traded with other players. But I'm fairly certain that most people don't want to part with their epic loot once they acquire it in the season. I mean, they might sell you 2 or 3 season old sword or something, but otherwise, yeah, your best bet is to just restart the whole season and hope for a better loot drop or something. Or you can probably purchase an upgrade that allows you to build a private server and then recreate the season from there. But not gonna lie, I'm only playing this on on the free-to-play model, so I'm really not interested in purchasing anything for this game just yet. If I sink more time into this, I really want to support the developers and everything, but I'm not sure I'll purchase anything just yet. I really didn't have I did have fun when the game worked, but the moment my network hitched, I more or less couldn't play it. So I sincerely hope that Grinding Gear Games creates a offline mode for this game, because single player is where it's at for new players. You just have to. It's a good training opportunity for them. Single player is a good training area for new players for any action RPG, and if you push them into multiplayer immediately upon installation, you're going to have a very unsatisfied customer fairly quickly. So yeah, that's it for me, at least for now. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you had a good time watching the gameplay as much as I had fun playing this. My name has been Bedomy. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Good night.